Credo Mobile fights hard to enact progressive change and defeat regressive policies. Majority Report viewers can get up to $350 credit towards switching to the only progressive phone company. Go to credomobile.com/Sam right now. On the phone, Mike McAuliff, Washington Congressional correspondent for the Huffington Post. He is speaking to us from the Senate Press Gallery. Mike, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
So give us a sense. The Senate came to agreed on a deal last night. It is yet to be voted upon. Tell us what's in that deal, when it's going to be voted upon, and what's going to happen in the House.
Well, the first part's the hardest one, is when it's going to be voted on. They had an agreement, at least Democrats in the Senate believe that they had an agreement with John Boehner to take their deal, put it on the floor today, and then ship it back to the House. However, Senate House aides were saying, no, not so fast. We need to talk to all our members and get all our ducks in a row. So I still think that's going to happen, and I still think it'll probably be today, but there's a little bit of hemming and hawing over on the other side of the hill.
Okay.
Now, as for what's in the thing, basically it's a delay of both the extending government funding and delaying the debt ceiling. You got one that goes till February 7th. I believe that's the debt ceiling portion of it, and you keep the government funded into January, and I'm blanking on the date right now. But basically, you get lots of time. The only thing that comes a little sooner than that is they get this thing called a budget conference committee that's supposed to work out a longer-term deal, and they're supposed to have something done by December 13th.
Okay, now, so let's work backwards. Why February 17th for the debt ceiling? What is significant?
7th.
Go ahead.
February 7th. Yeah, well, it buys them some time. It gets it out of the realm of these, New Year's. It gives a significant amount of time for the Treasury Department to essentially take those extraordinary measures. You've heard about those.
Right.
It allows them to sort of restock the pension funds and the other sources they've been essentially raiding to keep all the bills paid. So it allows the revenue to come in, them to stock up, and it just gives a bigger cushion. But it's not so far out in the future that House Republicans would absolutely say no.
And why January 15th on the continuing resolution?
Well, that's because the sequestration rules kick in then for the next round of cuts. So that allows you to keep whatever the levels are now, and Democrats are agreeing to go along with the current sequestration levels. But after January 15th, there's a law in the books that says you got to cut more. So they go through there, and then it sort of leaves it up to that budget conference committee to try and figure out a longer-term strategy.
Now, is there any talk of some type of grand bargain? I mean, it seems to me there's two things that have come out of this. One is that the Republicans have sort of lost this battle, but on some level they won the war over the sequestration, which it seems Democrats never even really had an opportunity. Or they had an opportunity, but they foregoed any opportunity to roll back the current level of cuts that are really having a devastating impact. You guys have been covering that quite a bit over at HuffPo, a devastating impact on many of the least fortunate around the country. So, I mean, what else could come out of this? In other words, is there some notion that we're going to see entitlement cuts on the table as this goes to these budget committees, or no?
Well, absolutely, there are notions that entitlement cuts are on the table. The president put them on the table, so they're going to come back. It's one of the places where conservative Democrats and Republicans agree. You know, they love this chain CPI idea, which is really just a way of cutting benefits for older people. So that's definitely on the table. But this budget conference, it sounds really wonky, but the reason the Democrats want that so bad, they essentially take the House's budget and they take the Senate Democrats' budget, and they got to sit in a room and hash out what the differences are. And the House budget is really much more of a political document than an effective working thing. So Democrats think that contrast will be just brutal for the Republicans, and they'll be able to get a lot more of what they want that way. So maybe that's actually a decent negotiating tactic. I'm not sure. And to your first point about keeping these sequestration levels, that came out of a sort of a quiet negotiation that the Senate leaders had with John Boehner. And perhaps they should have made a louder, more public stink about it so that people knew that they were even negotiating, because it sounds like that's where their starting point is rather than their compromise point.
Right. And so are there any other elements to this Senate deal? There was talk that they were going to increase the reporting requirements for people applying on the exchanges. Is that something that went through?
Yeah, well, there's it's an income verification requirement that Republicans are especially keen on, and it sounded like one of the last little details was exactly how they would make sure that got met. There's supposed to be some sort of IG report that has some real teeth into it in it to make sure it goes, and I haven't seen the actual language on that, so I can't get any more detailed on that. But another thing that was in there was allowing some sort of flexibility under sequestration, so agencies can meet it a little bit more sensibly. Now, and oddly, that was a Democratic idea, but the White House isn't so crazy about it, because then it puts all the blame on them for the bad stuff.
And so, do you know if that's still in the?
It was the last I heard.
Okay. This is obviously pretty fluid.
It could still drop if they haven't released it on, and until they put it out there on the floor, anything can change.
Do you have a sense of how the Republicans go back to their base and say, "Hey, we managed to put in this deal the even more scrutiny by the government on your finances"? I mean, isn't that? I'm just curious. It's like what do they? I mean. Nobody's, at least, ostensibly this was about Obamacare. They have nothing to show for this other than, of course, the remaining sequester cuts, which, from a policy standpoint is a big win for them as far as I'm concerned. But in terms of the politics, is Eric Erickson going to be happy about this deal when he sends out his email blast tomorrow morning?
No, not a chance. I mean, that's what killed the slightly more conservative version that Boehner was cooking up. I mean, Heritage, Red State, and Freedom Works all put torpedoes in it, and it went down. So it wasn't that much. I mean, in like a sort of grand scheme, I mean, it was mean and kind of punitive to punish congressional staffers, but it wasn't that much different from what we're actually ending up with. So, yeah, they're not going to like that. They're going to be angry, and they're going to threaten to primary anybody who votes for this thing. But the people who are going to vote for it are going to be in pretty moderate districts. There's going to be guys like Pete King, who will vote for it.
All right, so there's two questions. One, what are the chances that Mike Lee or Ted Cruz will try and filibuster the Senate deal? And then, two, how does this pass the House?
It's really interesting. I think the reason they wanted John Boehner to go first was because if a deal is passed in the House, there's absolutely no good incentive for Cruz or Lee to filibuster anything, because all they can do is slow it down, push the nation into that sort of red zone after Thursday for 2 or 3 days. There's no upside to that because they can't change anything. However, if you start in the Senate, they might take the view that, hey, we can still stop this thing, and if we create a big enough fuss over here, then our boys over in the House are going to listen to us, and this thing will go down. So I think that's why they want to start over in the House side, which is what they're trying to do now, and which is why it's a little bit disturbing to some of the Democrats in the Senate that Boehner is again talking with his conservative conference members.
So Boehner's now meeting with his caucus, or is going to at any moment, and basically say, "Hey guys, I'm gonna let this be. I'm gonna bring this up to the House. I'm going to break the Hastert rule, and this is going to pass with Democratic votes." Is that basically the plan?
Yeah, that's basically the plan. I mean, otherwise you're putting yourself into some really risky territory with as a Republican with very little chance of getting anything that you actually want out of it. I mean, they're already taking a huge beating in the polls. I mean, what good does it do them to continue to fight over these temporary things?
What strikes me is that that Chris Van Hollen video that went viral, where he was arguing with I think it was Chaffetz.
Yeah, Jason Chaffetz. Yeah.
About the fact that there's no way for a bill to get to the floor unless either Boehner or Cantor sign off on it. Is that going to come back now really to bite them in the ass? Because I would imagine if I was, let's just use Eric Erickson again as a stand-in for the conservative id. I would be saying this is proof positive that this had to be signed off by Boehner and Cantor, and we were just double crossed.
Well, you're probably right, and I wonder if they thought about that when they slipped that little change in there. They might not have. But on the other hand, there are guys like Raul Labrador out there today saying that, no, we're not mad at John Boehner, even if he has to do something here, because he stuck with us, all the way to here when he didn't originally want to. So they're giving him a little bit of love for that.
They're not going to get rid of Boehner, it seems to me, because he's sort of like Uncle Junior, right? When Tony Soprano was like, let him be the head because I've got control of this whole thing anyways.
Yeah, I mean, why would you want that job anyway? You just get beat up upon constantly, and these days it's nothing but really long, painful hours. So yeah, I don't see who would rise to the fore and take the job from him, honestly.
So the only potential fly in the ointment at this point is, at least in averting this debt ceiling crisis, is if Boehner goes into that room and they basically say, no, we're not down with this. Those 50 Tea Partiers that we keep hearing about, basically say you're gone if you do this. That's the only chance here that this won't go forward. Is that right? I mean, assuming it starts.
Yeah, well, that's basically it. I mean, Boehner also would have to agree with them when they say that. So you need that two-part thing there, and it would be very interesting to hear the explanations. Flying back and forth between the aides as to why the deal didn't go through if he changed his mind. So we expect something to happen, but as we have seen watching the House of Representatives these last 3 years, it's not always predictable, even when everybody thinks they know what's happening.
And finally, why is there any belief that we're not going to see a repeat of this? Starting January 15th or February 17th.
Well, that's why the Democrats want that conference committee, a budget conference committee, so badly. What you get in there is the ability to move legislation with simple majorities in the Senate and the House, so that you can't have these procedural blockades by Ted Cruz or Mike Lee. And if you can actually hash out a deal, it's done in the light of day. You have members sitting across from each other at a table. That deal should stick. That's why they really want that. It gives them the ability to cut a longer-term deal. Now, the questions are, what's in that longer-term deal? Who knows? But that would potentially save us from having to go through this again in January and February.
What would you put the odds on a deal being struck? I mean, it seems
a longer term deal.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put them very high right now. The only thing that might change that is if the polls in some of these races that were not considered to be especially vulnerable to Democrats, if you start getting information back from those that there's a real problem, then I think you would see some pressure from groups who would really prefer Republicans to the Tea Party and Democrats winning.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mike, I appreciate your filling us in on this. Apparently, right now, the Washington Post is reporting that Reid and McConnell have announced a deal to raise the debt limit through February 7th. and to end the shutdown. But again, that's all contingent upon what happens in the House.
Correct. They're out on the floor right now as we speak, and I can hear the echoing in this room. So I'm gonna go over where I can see him. Here comes McConnell.
Okay. Did I just keep you from getting a scoop, buddy?
What's that?
Did I just keep you from reporting a breaking news?
No, someone else will be doing it. Someone on the website, I'm sure, will be putting that out there right now.
All right. Well, I didn't want to get you in trouble. Mike McAuliff, thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Sam.
All right,
Bye-bye.
folks. What we're going to do now is, assuming, and this is, I think this is a moderately safe assumption at this point, that Reid and McConnell have spoken to Boehner, and he is willing or feels that he can push this through despite some type of complaints from the Tea Party, because of course they get to do it all over again in a couple of months. Assuming that we are now headed into a broader negotiation, understand the sequester levels remain for the time being, and that sounds like it's going to be the baseline for negotiations. And I think it's, hard to imagine at this point we're not going to see, and this is frankly, if not mechanically as I predicted, we are now again going to see negotiations that involve potential cuts to Social Security and Medicare coming up in the next couple of months.